It's that time once again. Since I've been pumped to the new Joey Badass album Lonely at the Top, you already know what it is. I'm gonna be dropping a tier list ranking every Joey project from S tier to F tier, and not just his albums, of course. We're talking about his mixtapes as well, because Joey's discography is, even though it's super minimal, it's really small as of right now. The amount of artistry that this dude has showcased since he blew up back in 2012, 2013 is undeniable. And I just want to say that before I get into this tier list, I just want to say that this is my personal opinion at the end of the day. Again, this is not the end all to be end all of all Joey Badass tier lists or any of my previous tier lists for the matter. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt that if what you see here is not to your satisfaction, it's fine, it is understandable. I'm open to any arguments as to why a certain album should be placed at a certain ranking. So, just want to make that clear because I feel like I've seen that happen recently with my Earl Sweatshirt tier list, and I wanted to address that. All right, and then here we go, back at it once again. So starting off, of course, with the first mixtape in Joey's catalog, 1999. Now this project came out back in 2012, unironically the same month and year on my birthday, and I'm gonna be honest with you and just say this that um, 1999, this mixtape, this was not the first project that got into Joey Badass in the first place. It was actually his 2015 album, Before the Money. And honestly, prior to that, once I heard his debut mixtape, I also went back to his mixtape era stuff. And this mixtape is absolutely incredible. I think it's definitely one of the best, it's one of the greatest. This has been touted numerous times by many critics and fans alike as Joey's best project ever. And I still share that same sentiment to this day. 1999 is a mixtape that really is able to capture like not only like the pro era Joey that we all know, that we all love, but also capture a lot of the jazz rap vibes that would cement itself in hip hop as a result. And again, there are tracks out here that's just absolutely amazing, stunning, gives off like really clear throwbacks to old school hip hop during the 90s era, 80s era of hip hop. And it's really good with a modern twist. And the fact that this came out during a time when Joey was like super young, we're talking like 17 years old, if I'm not mistaken, when this mixtape came out, is pretty mind boggling. And I honestly gotta say that if I listened to this mixtape first before I got into his Before the Money debut album, I think I would have been much more acclimated to Joey a lot more at the time. But given that like the replayability for this mixtape is still like unmatched, so unfathomable, it is incredible. Again, songs off of here to just name a few from Summer Nights, Waves, from the Tombs, Survival Tactics featuring the late great Capital Steez. You also have songs like Illuminati, which also features Capital Steez himself as well. Hard Knock, World Domination, Penny Royal, Funky Ho, Daily Routine, Snakes, Don't Front, Righteous Mind, where is that? And even like the final track, which is like this 11 minutes freestyle cipher with Third Eye Shift featuring him and all the Pro Era members at the time. This 1999 mixtape is absolutely incredible. It is phenomenal, and this mixtape like really put Joey in a respectable place in hip hop as a result. Um, Really great mixtape. Can't really fathom like how amazing this mixtape has held up to this day. I think I'm just gonna cut through the bullshit too and just say that this mixtape easily is a S tier in my books. Easy S tier. I think we can comfortably agree that that's where it's gonna be from that point forward. But then, of course, moving on, we're gonna move on to Summer Nights, his 2013 mixtape. And Summer Nights, this mixtape came out again within a year after 1999. But this mixtape, in my view, doesn't get a lot of like talk around, doesn't get a lot of attention nowadays because of the fact that this mixtape just feels like it's a bit overshadowed by how great of a bar 1999 was set up at the time. And I think in the Joy Badass canon, it does get a lot of love because of the fact that there have been some criticisms about this mixtape over the years about how it just doesn't live up to the hype as 1999. It's super long winded. It is not like a really good album like his last project, and it just felt like there weren't like any clear cuts of like really great moments. But honestly, a lot of the criticisms that was said about Summer Nights, I felt like was a bit of a BS cop out moment. It doesn't feel like those are arguments that I would actually agree on. Like, yes, I will admit that maybe some of the songs over here are a bit longer than they should be in terms of like what the subject matter goes for certain songs, but that doesn't mean that this is like a bad mixtape by any means. Like, this to me is far from like the worst Joey project out there. To me, it just feels like a continuation of 1999 going to Summer Nights. And while it's definitely not as amazing as the debut mixtape, I think it's still a respectable, good quality project. Again, you have songs on here like Hilary Swank, My Out, Death of YOLO, Sweet Dreams, 47 Goons, Sit and Pray, Trapdoor, 95 Till Infinity, even hashtag Long Live Stila, which was Joey's first tribute to Capital Steez, and is the only song we're going to hear in this tier list that he pays tribute to Capital Steez. Summer Nights is, like I said, I think this project was overhated for the time, and I feel like in the Joy Bass canon, this doesn't get a lot of attention nowadays because of the fact that everyone always goes back to 1999 reference this mixtape, but they never bring up Summer Nights to a degree. So, in a nutshell, Summer Nights, while it's not as great as 1999 was, I think that this to me was like Joey's first attempt of making like a debut album. Because, like I said, this project was supposed to be like his debut album. Originally, it was supposed to be a 7 track EP going to Before the Money, but then it became this big, expansive mixtape, which you see now. So, Summer Nights, I would easily put this bad boy in the A column. So a good quality project. It's honestly the strongest out there. And if we got this project over Before the Money, I think that would have been like what cemented like the okay, he can do a studio album really well, if that makes sense. But let's move on to 2015's Before the Money. This project is his official debut commercial album, and this was literally like Joey finally getting fully the recognition that he deserves. This is like him getting the commercial treatment that he deserves, etc. And this project was, unironically, the first project I was able to listen to that got me to Joey Badass in the first place. And looking back at this project, re-listening to some of the tracks off of here, I think I can comfortably say that this is definitely under par compared to what Joey had to offer from his mixtape era stuff with 1999 and Summer Nights. And while it's not like a really bad project from Joey, I just think that this album is being held back from being fully realized because it felt like there were some moments where there's some nerves being hit around this project. But that doesn't mean like every song on here is really bad by any means. There are songs on here that are actually really good, that really talk about what Joey has gone through up until this point and his, his view of like how it is to make it big as a mainstream rap artist. From Save the Children, Paper Trails, Peace of Mind, Big Dusty, Like Me featuring BJ the Chicago Kid, Number 99, Christ Conscious, Escape 120, Curry Chicken. Even the deluxe tracks over here have some really good standout songs that are like really worth talking about. Again, from songs like Run Up On Ya or Teach Me featuring Action Bronson and Ellie Werner, like these projects are without a doubt like absolutely incredible to say the least. So, again, while I think that this album is flawed, there are moments that are like some shortcomings. It's still a listable, nice quality project nonetheless. But to me, I think this is just like leaps below now from what we heard from the mixtape era and what Joey had to offer from that point forward. Which is why I think Before the Money, for me personally, I think it's going to be a solid C tier. I think it's a C tier. It's a great album. It still is, but comparing it to like the other quality projects that Joey drove up until that point, and from this point forward, I think it's like a huge 9-day difference. If that makes sense. All right. Next, though, we move on to his 2017 follow-up, All American Badass. This project right here, at the time, I consider this to be his best project ever. And For a studio album that came out back in 2017, that's about to almost turn 10 years old pretty soon, I still have that strong sentiment to this day that this is still like his best studio album project. And while it doesn't capture like what the 1999 project or Summer Nights, this to me was like Joey's full potential being realized in this album, because like I felt like this project, obviously if you look at the album cover and what this album had to offer, it's obviously going to a more political stance during the time period. If you know what political craziness was going on during 2017 and 2016 to be specific. And this album is really outstanding and amazing. But what's really damn a shame is that this project came out 1 week early before Kendrick Lamar's Damn dropped the following week after this album dropped, which completely overshadowed Joey Badass's All American Badass run. Because during that month and probably throughout the whole year, everyone was talking about Kendrick Lamar's Damn, but no one talked about this album and gave it a lot of love. And again, this album is absolutely incredible. One of the best rap projects to come out of 2017. I think that this is like, without a doubt, Joey going full throttle, guns blazing, and just like showcasing like his political stance of where he is and how he felt at the time. And it was captured so damn well. Every track on this album is absolutely incredible. From Good Morning America, For My People, Temptations, Land of the Free, Devastated, easily being the best track off the album in my opinion. Why You Don't Love Me, Miss America, Rockabye Babe featuring Schoolboy Q, Babylon, Super Predator, Ring the Alarm. Even the song Legendary features a J. Cole appearance out of fucking nowhere, and American Idol, which wraps up the album so beautifully. This album is absolutely is phenomenal, is incredible. I cannot say anything else about this project other than that this is a good step up, not only from his last debut album Before the Money, but I think this is just Joey fully realized from that point forward. So I'm gonna put this bad boy easily in the S row. It's really good. The album replayability is just undeniably great, and I think I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, moving on though, Joey Bada's next album, 2000, which came out approximately almost like exactly 10 years after the release of the 1999 mixtape that put him on the map in the first place. And obviously, he dropped it to commemorate the 10-year anniversary of his debut mixtape. And this album, I understand that this is not going to be like an album that truly was able to surpass 1999, given the title, given the reference, obviously, I think that this is still a good, solid project from Joey nonetheless. I understand that there are some people that say that this project is not like the best Joey project out there, but it's still enjoyable. It's still a banger. I think that if we're gonna talk about like the best songs off of here, hands down, it's really between Head High and Survivor's Guilt. Two slow but devastating songs that are really like, again, one song featuring Head High, which pays tribute to XXXTentacion, and then Survivor's Guilt, which is a full blown emotional moment of just where he has paid tribute to Capital Steez, the late great Capital Steez. And this album is like really good during those moments that really showcase what it has to offer. And like I said, everything about this project also, once again, like it did with 1999, the 2000 album pays true to a lot of the old school hip hop aesthetics, but with a modern twist. Songs like Eulogy, Zip Codes, Where I Belong, Brand New 911 featuring West Side Gun, Wanna Be Loved featuring Jid. There are so many highlights off of this project that I think now looking back at it, this album was just overhated. I liked it when it first came out, and I never understood the hate surrounding this project. Because again, I understand that it's not going to live up to 1999 or All American Badass, but 2000 is just a really good quality project all around. And I just think that with that being said, I just think that this was overhated for its time. It's a good project. It's definitely not like an S tier quality, but looking at what we have here, I would probably put this bad boy. Yeah, I'd probably put this easily in the A tier. Yeah, I'll put it in the A tier and just leave it at that. All right, and then to wrap up this tier list, we have his most recent album, Lonely at the Top. This one is undoubtedly Joey's shortest album to date. Prior to it, I think his shortest album was All American Badass, if I'm not mistaken with the length. But this is now his shortest album to date with 11 tracks. Once again, I already talked about it briefly as to how I felt about this album overall, but now as I've been listening to this album like how many times, Rolling the Top, as I mentioned, I still stand by what I said. This is still a respectable project. I think the highlights off of this album are still really good, really strong. The low points off of this album are still where they stand, in my opinion. Again, Underwater, 3 Feet Away, and Speeding Through the Rain are like contenders for worst songs off of this album. But again, that's just a debate being thrown around. It's like what could be the worst songs from those slow burners, right? Again, I still think that to this day, Speeding Through the Rain is just not the best song off this project. But that doesn't take away from like what why those songs are there in the first place. But overall, this album is really good. It just showcases Joey in a much different era, different mindset compared to where he was back in the 2000 album. Where again, Joey's just locked and loaded. He's ready. He feels like he is the king of the East Coast hip hop scene at this point, and he's not afraid to showcase it. And that this title of being the king is just super lonely at the top, nonetheless. So again, I think that with time, this project can definitely go up to like an A tier and S tier. But personally, I think that this project just needs a little bit more baking under the sun for me to really appreciate the album way, way more. Again, I just think it's not as strong as like what we have here already in the higher ups. But nonetheless, I think that Lonely at the Top is still a good project. This one is easily going to be in the B row. And I'll leave it at that. And there you go. This is my essential tier list of every Joey Badass album slash mixtape ranked as you see. So yeah, let me know down if you agree with this, disagree with this. Well, I'm ready to let the comments fly, nonetheless. But yeah, just want to talk about this, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.